In the world of AI, revolutions don't take years to unfold. Sometimes all it takes is a single, chaotic weekend. This is the story of a corporate thriller that pushed the most important AI company on the planet right to the very brink.
Really think about that. This is the central mystery we're going to unpack. A CEO at the absolute peak of his power, literally the face of the AI boom, is suddenly ousted by his own board. And then, in a reversal that nobody saw coming, he's back on top. So how on earth does something like that actually happen? Well, it all started with a perfectly executed ambush. Noon on a Friday. Sam Altman hops on a video call, and he's fired. Just like that. 19 minutes later, his closest ally, Greg Brockman, gets a text, then a call. He's off the board too. And by 12:53 p.m., less than an hour from the start, it's public. This wasn't some drawn-out corporate drama. This was a lightning-fast, coordinated strike.
And this was the reason they gave. A phrase so brutally vague, it's practically a weapon. No specifics, no examples, just this shadowy accusation. And that ambiguity, it didn't provide clarity. Oh no. It created an information vacuum that instantly filled with absolute chaos.
Just think about that for a second. The fate of a company shaping the future of humanity, a company worth tens of billions of dollars, was decided by just 4 people in one meeting. The concentration of power is just staggering.
And right away, the board's plan hits its first major snag. See, they wanted Greg Brockman to stay on as president, but he wasn't having it. In a huge public show of loyalty to Sam, he quit the entire company. And this, right here, was the very first crack in the board's armor. It was the first sign that this was not going to go the way they thought.
Okay, and then there's this, which is almost hard to believe. You'd think, if you're about to fire the CEO of a company you've poured $13 billion into, you'd get a heads up, right? Nope. Microsoft found out the same way we all did. By completely isolating their most powerful ally, the board made a catastrophic mistake. So the weekend is just a blur of failed negotiations and frantic calls. The company is in freefall. But then, something incredible happens. The man who actually set this entire coup in motion, Chief Scientist Ilya Sutskever, has a dramatic 180-degree change of heart, and this is the real emotional turning point of the whole saga. And there it is, in black and white, for the entire world to see. Less than 72 hours after he led the charge to fire Altman, Sutskever posts this, a stunning public reversal. This was the moment the coup didn't just start to fail, it began to completely implode.
Sutskever's tweet was a tremor, for sure, but the earthquake was just beginning, because at the exact same time, a document starts making the rounds inside OpenAI, a letter that was about to turn the company's most valuable asset, its own people, against the board.
By Monday morning, the number of employees who had signed that letter was just mind-blowing. 505 people, out of a company with just over 700 employees. That is an overwhelming majority. That is a direct threat of a mass walkout that would gut the company overnight. And the momentum, it was just unstoppable. All day Monday, the signature count just kept climbing. It flew past 650. The rebellion wasn't just happening, it was accelerating by the hour. Let's just put this into perspective. 85% of the entire company signed a letter threatening to quit unless the board resigned. We have never seen anything like this in Silicon Valley history. It wasn't just a protest, it was a full-blown mutiny. And the letter itself? It was absolutely scathing. It didn't just ask for Sam Altman back. It was a direct assault on the board's fitness to lead. This one line says everything. It's a collective, public, and brutal vote of no confidence. The list of who signed it was almost as dramatic as what it said. You've got Mira Murati, the person the board had just picked to be the interim CEO. You had senior AI safety researchers. And then, in the most surreal twist of all, you have Ilya Sutskever, adding his name to a letter demanding his own board resign. You just can't make this stuff up. So, while OpenAI is literally tearing itself apart from the inside, its biggest partner sees his moment. Satya Nadella had been humiliated on Friday, but by Monday, he was ready to end this game with a single strategic move that would leave the board with absolutely nowhere to go.
And here's how he did it. It was brilliant. First, Nadella publicly announces he's hiring Sam and Greg to lead a brand new AI lab inside Microsoft. Then came the killer blow. He publicly offered a job at that new lab to every single OpenAI employee who resigned. He created the perfect escape hatch, basically threatening to hire away the entire company.
And just like that, the board was trapped. They were left with a simple choice. They could cling to power and be the rulers of an empty building, or
They could surrender. The game was over. They had lost all of their leverage.
And, well, they surrendered. The old board was gutted, 3 of the 4 people who led the firing were gone, a new powerhouse board was brought in. And look who's right back where he started. It was a total unconditional surrender.
By Tuesday night, the whirlwind stopped. The 72-hour coup had officially failed. Sam Altman walked back into OpenAI not as a disgraced former CEO, but as the undisputed winner, more powerful than he had ever been before.
So after all that, what was this really about? Months later, an investigation confirmed it. This wasn't some noble fight over the future of AI safety. It wasn't about money or security breaches. The real reason for this corporate earthquake was much more human. It was just a complete and total breakdown of trust.
Sam Altman clearly won this war. There's no question about that. But this whole saga leaves us with a much bigger, much more unsettling question. If the fate of a technology this powerful can be decided by employee loyalty and a brilliant move by a corporate partner, who's actually in control here? The answer to that is not clear at all. And maybe that's the scariest part of this whole story.